Welcome back to our Gardenscape, everybody. If this is your first time here, my name is Adam, and today we've got a special one for you. For those of you who've been following our journey, you'll see something a little different here. I added a fan and created a makeshift stand to get the light a little closer to the trays to help our coneflowers germinate a bit faster, and also to keep the seedlings that have already emerged from getting leggy, as they're being held in a pretty dark room. And boy, it has worked wonders. We may have some casualties from our temperature incident, but that's okay. It's not the first time I've killed a plant on accident. The last time that we were together, we didn't have any purple coneflowers joining us yet. And now, well, we have 4 accounted for and 1 showing its head. However, the stars of this show have been the Daisys and Foxgloves. They have come in and immediately begun to show us what they've got. I'm not sure what I was thinking when I was overseeding these trays so densely, but that's okay. For those that stick around, we will divide them up and provide them with their own space to fill out and root before they get to their final destination. Last weekend, we decided to take a trip to a not-so-local nursery, Hoffman-Hillerman, just to take a look at what they had and talk to the staff about when they would potentially be receiving their shipments in. And wouldn't you know it, among all of the sleeping plants, my wife stumbled upon some gems. Wait for it. Boom. Violet Profusion Salvia. These are a grail for us, as they were tough for us to come by last year, as we decided on them late in the season. It became a mission to find them, but we had no luck, especially in the quantity that we needed. We started off this area of our flower bed last season with some roadside stand Veronica. Well, big mistake. Ultimately, they had more weeds than Veronica. With this being a newer bed, I definitely didn't want to keep that element around. So, during one of their daily mandatory weedings, I decided that they were now the weeds and snatched them out. We ultimately replaced them with some celosia to fill in the space until we could get the salvia we were looking for. Unfortunately, that didn't happen last season. We were going to ensure that we didn't go a day of this season without them, and were resigned to ordering them online. But now, that's unnecessary. We found more than enough to fill the space and at a fraction of the cost. They were priced pretty low as they were leftovers from last season. With a little bit of love and pruning, they will be right on schedule with the rest of our garden and perform glorious for us this year. With the excitement of our salvia find still under our belts, we decided to do our weekly check-in at Lowe's to see if they had any new shipments. And wouldn't you know it, we were greeted by a colorful table of petunias that had just arrived that morning. They also received some beautiful phlox and other flowering shrubs, but it's still a little early for me to pick up some annuals, as I expect we've probably got 1 or 2 freezes left ahead of us yet. These 2 plant encounters were my signal that spring was here, even though it doesn't quite feel like it yet. This also encouraged my wife and I to sit down and finalize some of our design plans for the season for all of our flower beds and flower bed additions. One plant that my wife was adamant about adding to our garden this year was the peachberry ice coral bells. They will bring a different texture and color shade to our garden, as well as some winter interest. I agreed. Since we got such a late start last season, we focused more on filling in space and what could survive a midsummer planting over texture and diversifying our color palette. We knew coming into this season that would be our main focus. Which brings us to the next part of this story. After leaving the grocery store a few days later, I decided to stop in at our Home Depot to see if they had any new shipments. The week before, our Home Depot only had trees, evergreens, and some bulbs. But as soon as I pulled in, to my shock, boom, there they were. A another plant that we were going to order online right here at our local Home Depot. It's like they were placed here for us because there wasn't much else there outside of the trees and evergreens that we had seen previously. I grabbed 4 of the peachberry ice and ended up going back for 2 more later. I called my wife while I was there the first time, and she told me to grab 2 of the apple twists as well. This was shaping up to be our best week in plant finds yet, but to our surprise, it wouldn't end there. Which brings us back to those pesky limelight primes we discussed in an earlier video. After checking on them, the new leaf sets were already beginning to turn yellow on us. Boy, this is frustrating. I purchased these from a local nursery, but they didn't come with the proven winners tag. It's almost as if they were propagated, and the result of the process were plants with very weak genetics. However, remember, we're in our best week yet. I had some time and decided to go visit a new buddy I had made over at Hoffman-Hillerman and ask a few questions about a tree we were thinking of planting. While I was there, I took another quick spin through the greenhouses to check out their hydrangeas. They seemed to have a lot left over from the previous season. They had 3 limelight primes, so I decided to dig them out of the bunch and examine them in order to take mental notes and compare them with mine. It didn't take much examination to realize that these seemed like completely different plants from the ones in our garden. From the texture of the leaves to the sturdiness of the stems, I quickly realized that the long-term vision that I had for the side of our house wasn't going to happen with the plants that I had at home. So you know what? I took advantage of another previous season markdown deal and decided to take them home with me to replace the sickly ones that I had. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with the old ones yet, but I'm sure we'll find a good home for them to live out what little life they have left. In 1 week, by happenstance, we were able to solve 3 pesky issues from last season, and did it for much cheaper than we were anticipating, and in a more convenient way. Now I just need to keep them protected until the final threat of freeze and frost has passed. These are not the only changes and pesky things that we'll be addressing this season, but we certainly have a great head start in addressing the list. Thanks for checking in on our best week yet. We'll continue to keep you updated on our progress. We love having you in our Gardenscape. Remember, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you in the next one.